every dimension, from psychology, from neuroscience, metaphysics, mythology, management, leadership, every dimension, and every from life coaching. The study of Lord Krishna is important to the modern times. Lord Krishna can be traced back through the works of Bhagavad Gita and Mahabharata. Hello and Namaste. Welcome to Solat. I'm Sajal Gupta, a psychologist, healer, and coach. And today we're going to talk about Janmashtami. Yes. At Solat, whatever that we come across in life, we look at it in a more mindful and a holistic manner. In order to look at everything that we encounter in its full sense of truth, we use the modern sciences to study into the ancient wisdom and to make life more interesting and more mindful in the modern world. Janmashtami, as was celebrated over the last 2 days in India, and for most families living outside of India, who love to engage in Indian festivities. Let's look at the science as we look at the life of Krishna. Janmashtami is the mark of birth for Lord Krishna, and while it usually falls in the month of August, there are a few interesting things that we may not know about Lord Krishna. Have you often wondered why, even from the youngest age, was this avatar always depicted in blue color? Have you often wondered that? Why was there the presence, a symbolic presence of peacock feather always around this? In all paintings and in all form of art. Art was often the most encrypted source of keeping information intact, as there was least chance of distortion through visual art. Have you often wondered if there is more to this? So let me take you to a few different aspects of study when it comes to the works of Krishna. The entire personality and all the stories around this could be traced back through two major works of literature, the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita was written and it dates back somewhere to 2 to 5 BC. Within that time span. However, and this is coming from a psychologist, when we look at counseling or anything to do with emotional mental care, even the first lab for mental care was established, and it could be traced back somewhere between late 1700 to 1800 AD. However, this is not just a belief or a thought, but from various international bodies and association, even the American Parliament discusses the scope of applying Bhagavad Gita into their ecosystem. Bhagavad Gita is a textbook and a very important guide for emotional mental distresses, for moral questions. And Bhagavad Gita is, from where we look at it, it's a conversation between Krishna and Arjun, which in the counseling setting is the counselor and the counselee. The counselee comes with various dilemmas and life questions, sometimes distressed and pondering about the challenges in front that they've encountered, sometimes hopelessly stuck between morality and the right and what to do, questioning and introspecting into the purpose of existence and birth. In the counseling setting, we often use multiple eclectic approaches. To name a few, client-centered therapy, hypnotherapy, confrontational technique, one-on-one, and so on and so forth. Each of those techniques that we study in psychology, in a counseling and therapeutic setting, each of those techniques have been covered and demonstrated beautifully and elaborately in Bhagavad Gita, spread across 18 chapters and 700 verses. Bhagavad Gita is by far the most significant textbook when it comes to ancient Indian philosophical, mythological system. Bhagavad Gita is where Lord Krishna is seen as the Sarvottam Manochikitsak, or counselor for emotional distresses. So, in the spirit of Janmashtami, let's ensure that our love for our rich culture continues as we explore more into science, as we explore more into knowledge and wisdom. Often enough, as a counselor, in my entire day, I come across families coming in distress, and in family settings, parents, grandparents, kids, and all the generations in a group setting. There's often the distress, a common distress, that the older times were better times, and the youth today is a rebel and they don't listen, and so on and so forth. My humble request to all the parents who are experiencing this, as I empathize with you, I would suggest the generation in front of us, the millennials and the ones after, the ones that would keep following, they're a generation not of rebel, but the curious lot, which is simply asking why. The why for things. The why which probably the older generations were resolving in the evolutionary process. They were resolving the hows and the whats. So the generation now would ask more why questions. They're not questioning you. They're simply asking a question. and it's also for all the youth watching this. My request to you is, all your curiosity would lead you to a lot of knowledge, and knowledge is power. Take that, not to fight the generations before, but to help into the lives of your parents, grandparents, and everybody that you encounter who did not know the whys as you so beautifully know now, with ease and access to information and technology. As you stumble upon things that resolve your curiosity, take that knowledge into the lives of your loved one. It will help them broaden their perspective and understand you better. Now, for those who wonder, the peacock feather around Lord Krishna. This is symbolic, along with the blue that we often see on the skin of Krishna. From this smallest baby version to the adult and adolescence phase, Krishna is often always unanimously through all phases of life depicted in pink, in blue. Why, you wonder? Would always have the presence of a peacock feather on hair, on as a hair accessory, or somewhere in multiple presence of peacock around. Now the first part of Krishna's life, which is through the study of Bhagavad Gita, brings us into the world of counseling and therapy. The study of the art around Krishna brings us into the study of neuroscience. Within our neurological system, there is a gland which is very significant to spiritual development, and also is still being constantly researched as we go along to find many relevance into the functioning of human body. The circadian sleep cycle, seasonal variation, all of it is mapped through the melatonin, and that is one of the hormones which is secreted out of this gland, which is the pineal gland. The pineal gland is also often in the yogic sciences known as the blue pearl. In Raja Yoga, in the modern science of pranic healing, and the ones which work on meditating and focusing on consciousness, on the current state of consciousness. Similarly, the schools which explored the pineal gland, and the yoga which was focusing on the evolution of the pineal gland, was Raja Yoga, from the yogic system. The pineal gland, which lies right in the center of the head, in the neurological anatomy, is also known as the blue pearl, and this was very close to how the peacock feather was the center of the peacock feather. So art was a way of preserving these, and there's a lot more to it. There's only so much that we can chat about in a video like this, but there's a lot to it. So neuroscience played the role of preserving these potent information, and the way of least distortion was through art. Hence, from all phases of Krishna, you will see art painting him blue, which was basically symbolic to that his pineal gland, or the third eye, as per Raja Yoga, the faculties was so evolved that he was not as the story for Buddha goes from a human into a transformed, self-actualized, enlightened soul. But in the life of Krishna, the blue and the peacock feather is hinting that it was not an ordinary human that became God. It was the birth of an avatar. It was a higher state of consciousness which was choosing to be incarnated into a human existence to bring balance. And through art, they were just trying to depict that this was not an ordinary human even since birth. So this and more to the life of Krishna through neuroscience, counseling psychology, psychiatry, and lot more. Hope you had a beautiful Janmashtami. We at Solat would continue to bring in more insights as we explore all that comes across in life, a little more mindfully and holistically together. Until then, may the blessings of Krishna be with you and your family.